It's time to split, and I'm not talking about leaving. Well, hey guys, this is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Welcome back to another day in my 2020 beekeeping season, where I take you all the way from winter through to the next fall and show you how I do things here in my small operation in Southeast Louisiana. And remember, this is not a how-to video. It's just me logging some of my days as I go through the season. But if you pick up any tips and tricks, that's wonderful. And if you have any tips and tricks for me, be sure and leave them in the comments. Well, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I got equipment ready to go. We've got splits to do. We've got splits to move that we split 3 weeks ago. And I'm hoping to get done with this in the next couple hours. So I've been out this morning. Had to cut out a few more lids. I knew I had to do that a few weeks ago. I just didn't do it. But I had plywood that's already painted. Well, perfect setup. So all I had to do was cut them out and throw some cleats on the ends. And I did that this morning. Went and checked that nuke swarm that we caught yesterday, you and I, and now I've got to get going on this video here trying to split. So here's my plan. I'm gonna be out there a couple hours. I don't know the battery life on these GoPros. I have learned I'm not the only one, so that's reassuring. Nick at Welker Farms, I follow a lot of farming videos, and Nick at Welker Farms, he talks about those batteries being bad as far as time. So I have a spare battery. I don't have a battery pack anymore. Got crushed in the incident. So I'm gonna probably take you through in detail on one hive. Even though I've done split video before, I'm gonna take you through in detail on another one. And then I'll maybe switch to a time-lapse or something, and I'll follow up with anything unusual that I see. But it's gonna be a lot of time-lapse, I think. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I don't want to drag out this video because you've seen me do splits, and it's gonna be the same thing over and over and over. I have enough double screen boards. When I moved my splits from 3 weeks ago, that's 3 of them, plus I got another 3. And so I'm 6 of them I'm going to do with vertical splits, just because it's easier and space saving right now. And then the last 2 I'll probably do, if I do a total of 8, I'll just do regular splits where I just move the box, move the queen off and put her somewhere else. And I want to do the vertical splits because of space, because I'm going to fill all my stands up today. That's the goal. And then at that point, I won't have any more space for those last vertical splits. So I'll be moving those to another location I have already picked out. And I just got to set up some stands. So that's why I'm going to do verticals and then finish out with regulars. That'll fill up my stands here. And then I'll start loading stands on the other property that I got to take them to. So now is the time of year when you really figure out, were you really ready? Did you have enough equipment? Now this year I am really well ahead on all my stuff, so I'm not rushing around scrambling. But I tell you now, after doing these splits, once I do these splits, it'll be time to put more boxes together. I gotta go grab some more of those bottom boards I use. I buy those. I actually buy those. I don't build those. I got a guy that gives them. They're made of cypress. They last forever. They're built by the Amish, and man, they do well. So I'll probably have to go buy 8-10 more of those. I'll make my own lids, and I gotta go ahead and build some more boxes, because what'll happen is you'll start catching swarms and you'll start doing splits, and before you know it, you're out. Trust me, it happens to every one of us that decide we're going to grow bigger. My second year I was running crazy, buying and trying to build and paint, and oh man, it was nuts. So I know it happens to a lot of people. So if it hadn't happened to you yet and you're brand new, oh, it's gonna happen. Give it time. All right, guys, we need to get moving on this. It's starting to get hot. It's a beautiful spring day here in Southeast Louisiana. I think it's already in the 60s. It was 34 this morning, and within an hour, it was already up in the 40s, and the sun came up. And this time of year, when the sun comes up in Southeast Louisiana, it heats up quick. We're already in the 60s. Blue skies, the birds are singing. We got new growth on the trees, those light green leaves. Cut my grass, the yard looks great, everything's greening up, and the bees are flying. Man, spring is a great time, but a busy time. So speaking of busy, let's get to it. Alright guys, went in and opened this hive up, and didn't even have y'all focused in on the hive, but I'm just zipping through the top to see if I can find the queen. I gotta also check numbers. I don't want to split a hive that doesn't have the numbers. So let's take a quick glance for her. Now this is the box I reversed. All the box reversals, if they've got the numbers, they're gonna get split. Let me raise y'all up a little bit. This is the one hive I am gonna go ahead and go through at normal speed for the most part. I may speed it up if it gets too boring. See, we got queen cups still. We had those before. And they're empty. Oh, there's one that's got a little something in it. So definitely would like to find her. Sixth frame over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth frame over. And you don't have to find the queen. That's something you have to do. It's a personal preference for me. There she is right there. So I know she's in the top. And I'm going to take that one that had the queen cells and put it in the bottom. Did y'all see her? Let me see if I can put her in the camera better. Well, where did you go? Oh, there she is. She's up top. There she is, right there. She's going to cut through to the other side, I believe. There she is. That's good. So I'll do so I can work faster. I do this sometimes. I see her, so what I like to do is get a cage on her. Don't hurt her. Make sure I got her. She's in there. Hard to see in this cage. And there she is. I'm gonna leave her sit right here. Now we're gonna split. So now what we gotta do, take this box. Alright, I'm gonna put it right here. Let's actually double check it for swarm cells. So I do want to move that one frame with the cells down. See, there's a couple. Right. That's the frame we just pulled out. The rest looks clean. So what I'm going to do is take that frame and it's going to go in the bottom. Just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's our frame. Take that right there. Only because one cup had something in it. Take this off. I want to give her plenty of bees. Yeah, we can split this one. It'll be fine. It's not a ton of bees, but it was as many as we had last time we split. Y'all can see I'm not good at keeping my boxes clean. That hook does work good, but I promise you, it will bust the frame. So, alrighty. Quick split, there we go. You want to make sure I got eggs. That's pollen. Gotta be able to make a queen on the bottom, don't we? Pollen. Wow, they got a lot of pollen. Narrow nest. Gotta be some eggs down here. So we're gonna take a pollen frame. put it on the edge in a minute. I'm going to take a brood frame, stick in there, and I'm going to put my queen cup frame in there. So, a little rearranging. All I'm doing is popping some frames out. Okay. Queen cell frame. It's one that's almost complete. It's got something in it, so they're kind of low on numbers. Maybe they left. But actually, if they had, they're usually already capped. They don't leave until they're capped usually. All right. Kind of low on numbers. Don't want this honey out too long. That's what we need. Now, one thing we don't ever want to forget, put the queen back in. Alright, it's got a lid on. Trap up here. Alright, that split's done. this one had a good number in it. Now that last one I just did, I don't know that it had a ton of bees. We're gonna watch it. Keep an eye on it. Do the same thing here. Take a look, see for me. This one we've been in, so a little more. Yeah, I don't want to keep all this honey out too much. I need to make that box. I love that little inspection box. That has the cover. Honey, honey. Good gracious to the honey. I'm gonna remember that. Let me put one of those in the bottom. Didn't reverse this one. This is one that never got reversed. They're loading in nectar. It's a narrow nest. So I'll put that on hold. Alright guys, I'm here at the other stand, and you saw I got over there. I split one, decided not to split the other, and really the first one probably could have stood not to be split, and I was thinking of that until I saw that that swarm cell, and it was only one swarm cell and about 4 or 5 cups, and I didn't see if there were eggs in the other ones, but that swarm cell was actually, it was about 1/4 of the way done. It had a nice full cup of jelly in it. Not that that means necessarily that they're going to swarm. We've already had a few like that, but the numbers weren't that great. But nonetheless, I split that one. I'll watch it, no biggie. It's a vertical split. Remember, vertical splits are great because if it's not working out, you just put them back together. Maybe they already swarmed. I didn't see any busted up swarm cells, and there weren't none last week, but you know, if they had, put them back together. No problem. That's why I love the vertical split. The bees are forgiving, but it's even more forgiving. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and sit y'all off to the side and just kind of maybe do a time lapse, because I've got some robbing going on. So no more looking for queens, no none of that. What we're gonna do is gonna jump in there, look at the numbers. If they got a lot of bees, I might shake a few in one box, stick the board in, put it back together, and move on. Then we have our other splits we did 3 weeks ago. One right there. Okay, top and bottom are split. I'm gonna take those 3 splits where the top boxes have the queen, and I'm gonna move them to new stands. I got them set up. All I'm gonna do is yank them off, throw a lid on, put them on, new bottom board, done. That's all we're gonna do. Because what I don't want right now is robbing to get out of control. We're gonna speed things up right now. I'm gonna get rocking and rolling, see if we can get this thing done quick. I'm gonna go ahead and put y'all on a time lapse and see if I can get this stuff done real quick in front of you, and then I'll wrap it up and come back and get y'all back. Now, if I see something crazy, I'll stop the time lapse and come over and we'll look at it. All right, let me get rolling on this so we can get this done. Alright guys, I am not done yet. Got a few little small tasks to do. I want to get away from the bees. You noticed I took the hives that we split 3 weeks ago and I moved those onto new stands because that queen is established now in her new place, and she has she's got a brood going, she's got everything going, she's, you know, emerging brood, everything else. The bottom boxes I left, those were queenless. Now they had cells in them, so that queen should be emerged by now. Now she's can either have already gotten her mating flight or is getting ready to get it soon, because it's right at that time frame for her to be out. Now normally I'd go in there and just double check for eggs, but it's too active out there with it's not that there's some heavy robbing, but you can tell the bees are starting to get, you know, there's gobs of bees around you, and that's a sign we're getting ready to start getting robbed. And they did jump on one frame of honey over there, so you saw me put that back in. So I had to close them up really quick. So that's why I didn't search for any queens. You might have noticed in the time lapse what I was doing was going in the bottom boxes and really quickly grabbing some frames and shaking nurse bees into those top boxes, because as that top box has that new entrance and loses field bees, their population is going to go down. So I want them to have plenty of nurse bees. And I can always, you know, go back through when I check for queen cells next week, and I'll put more nurse bees in there. So I did that. So let's see. So I think we made like 6 splits, 5 or 6 splits instead of 9 or 8 or whatever I was going to make, because three of the hives just didn't have a good population. And the others were right on the edge, but they had queen cups going in and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and split them. Again, I said it earlier, the vertical split is wonderful because you have any problems, you put them back together. So it's not a problem. If the population wasn't enough or they look sketchy next week, let's pull the board, we're finished. But I think I have confidence it'll be fine. They're growing. There's a lot of brood, a lot of uncapped and capped brood in there. But I didn't have time to be sure eggs were on the bottom, queen was in, I didn't have time for that. So what I'll do next week, I've said this before in my other splitting video, I'll basically go through, I'll see who's got queen cells, and if I've got queen cells on top, I'll just swap the boxes. I want my queen on top. I want her to be the one I move. That's how I do it. That's just my way. It's not the way, it's how I'd like to do it. So what I have left to do, I'm gonna go get second deeps on my bottoms of the 3 week ago splits. That gives them space because they're packed. And I happen to notice where my queens were when I moved them. I just popped the tops and looked at those, and they're packed with bees. So we'll get second deeps on all of those, and those hives will all be set. Then all we have to deal with is the rest of our splits in a few weeks. So all is going as planned. We're making bees. Soon we'll be making honey, we hope, and we're gonna get on with this thing. So let me get finished. I got these little tedious tasks I gotta finish up, and I'll probably take y'all along on a time lapse for those two. This is a box that I thought needed a second deep the other day. Before it was getting close, that's what I put in my notes. And I just opened it, and I had the setting on the camera wrong, but let me show you what we had. The top is getting old and rotten. Let's start replacing equipment. So this is what we got. They don't need any smoke, they're pretty calm. But this feeder was in there, and I took it out. Gave them a frame that's drawn and a foundation. So they really only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full frames of bees. So we got at least 1 to 2 more frames to fill up before we worry with that. So don't need to worry with them. We'll check on them in another week or 2. Maybe check on them when we check on these splits we did today. Alright guys, had to get some bees out of my suit. Had that Joey Rawls belt of safety. That thing is key when your elastic is shot. So here's what it did with those splits. Now remember, this is a hive that we had already split, okay? When we split this hive, put the queen up here and made an entrance back here. Well, she has bees coming back from flights right now. Once I take that box, there's no entrance. So what I do is I put a little stick in here, and that way they can go back in. Now that's gonna deplete her numbers again, but Not the end of the world. And where was the other one? It was here. And see here? Put a stick in there. They're all coming back. Some of them got pollen. They're coming back to their queen. But hey, we gotta go in this new hive. Remember, vertical split, they share their smells. So they'll be accepted. I'll leave that for a day or two, but I'm actually probably gonna put second deeps on here today because these bees are exploding. I'm gonna go double check all my bricks. Make sure I know where I'm at and what I've done. Oh, well. Hey there, folks. We are wrapped up. Took an extra 4 or 5 minutes to an hour. Go ahead and clean up all my stuff out here. I got to put some more boxes together this evening, but I'll let everything calm down for a little bit. But hey, we got a lot done. I took y'all with me, and we went out there and were able to split 5 hives. I was going to split 8 total, but 3 of the hives just didn't have the numbers. And really, number 1, the very first one I went through slow with you guys, it didn't really have a ton of bees, but it was splittable. It'll be fine. But got all those done, and went back and moved all the splits from 3 weeks ago. Moved those top boxes off and put them on new stands. And I went ahead and put deeps on 2 of those. Those 2 boxes had a lot of bees. Those queens were really getting with it, and they must have had a lot of brood when we did the split. I don't remember. Then one of the boxes with the queen, the third one I moved off. It wasn't quite ready for one, so I didn't mess with that. And then I went ahead and put a second deep on all the bottom ends of those splits. Those are the ones that had all the field bees that came back and they were full. They had queens that are being made, and those queens probably are just now going out on their mating flights. They may or may not have already gotten mated, because, you know, we look at the cells around 7 days. It's a 7 to 10 day window. Then they, you know, when they're all the way capped, 16 days she comes out. It's about 4 or 5 days before she goes out on a mating flight, and that's about where we're at right now. So it's hit or miss. No sense in going through them. And then you saw on the splits, the very first one I did, I went through it, I found the queen, and that was good, no problem. Put her on top, but then I noticed a good cloud of bees. So I had a honey frame out, and I noticed bees were bouncing on it, and that's enough to say that they were beginning to get enticed by the honey. The nectar flow may have slowed down the little bit that we had, but you know, it's all calmed down out there now. They didn't start robbing, but I didn't want to start robbing. So I elected to just go through real quick and just put in double screen divider boards. And you know, the hope is that the queens were in the top. Most of them should be, because those were box reversals, and they usually have moved up by now. But there was so much brood when we did those reversals, there's no telling where she's at. So it doesn't matter. The great thing about that vertical split, just stick them in, split the bees, go back in 7 days, find out where the queen cells are. Wherever the queen cells are means that's where the queen is not. I basically take the queen and move her up to the top if she's on the bottom. So if I have queen cells on top, I reverse the boxes. If queen cells are on the bottom, I leave them alone and keep on going. And then we know we're good. If I have no queen cells, it means I didn't have enough eggs in the box that didn't have the queen. We'll have to maybe put some eggs down there, or put them back together. And then I opened up another box from last week that we had looked at, you and I, and we thought that it may need another box, but it didn't. It only had 5 frames of bees, so didn't worry about that. So got a lot done. Took me about, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah, about 2 hours if I look at the time right. So about 2 hours worth of you know, miscellaneous work, plus 5 splits, plus inspecting the boxes to see if they could be split. And basically, if I looked at them, opened the top, popped the top open, looked at the bottom, not enough numbers, didn't split them. They can be split in about 2 weeks, I think. Because you do want your brood box to be good and full when you split. You want good full boxes of bees. The problem, like with the first one, was I do have some queen cells. And if it's just a queen cup with a little jelly, I don't worry about it if the bees aren't that populous. But if it's halfway down, like that much, like that first one was, you know, that concerns me enough to say, hey, let's split them. It's not going to hurt. And again, being the vertical split, it's not going to hurt. You put them back together, leave them apart. It doesn't matter. So that's where we're at with those, and that's why I did what I did. So I went back and put entrance reducers in my new queen box, you know, the queen boxes I moved off, to make sure they're buttoned up good, because there's still a little robbing going on and we still have some cool mornings coming. Other than that, we've just split 5 hives, so that's good. That's 5 more hives we'll make that will hopefully be production hives. And with the looks at the queens on the 3 that we split 3 weeks ago, if these do the same, we should be making them. Now, the pitfall of being so early on those other ones is I don't use queen excluders, but I may use queen excluders this year and try them. I got a few. I use them for other things besides honey production, but I might try and put a queen excluder on top of those hives that are so big already, so I can start stacking supers on, so they don't get crowded. Because you have reproductive swarms and you have overcrowding swarms, and in spring they're reproductive swarms most all the time, especially with a year-old queen. Well, I've taken that urge away by splitting, so what I can have next is possibly overcrowding. So I need to be wary of that. Other than that, it was a good day. I got some lids built this morning, and one thing I will say is when you start doing splits and stacking deeps and all that stuff, you put a huge dent in your equipment pile, and I did just that. My big old stack of boxes is down, so I've got some boxes I'd cut out last year. I'm going to go ahead and put those together and get them ready to paint. I built some extra lids to match my bottoms. I need to go buy me some more bottoms. I knew that going into the season, so it's not like I'm behind. I just didn't go buy them yet. They're cypress, so I don't even have to paint them. I just throw them down and go with it. And I'm going to go pick those up. I'll probably buy some lids while I'm there, since I'm starting to run a little bit low on 3/4 inch. I don't know. And I'm going to pick up some more frames and foundation. Other than that, outside of, I may have to build some more deeps, but staying pretty steady. Depends on how many swarms will catch. So alright guys, that's a wrap. I know it wasn't in depth with some of the splits, as I was just running through them. I explained what I was doing when in the time lapse. If you notice in the time lapse, I was opening them up, taking the bottom box and popping some frames out, shaking a bunch of bees down in that top box. I want nurse bees in that top box, and putting them, you know, the screen board in, put them back on top and running with it. If I shook a bunch of nurse bees in on top of where the queen wasn't, oh well, I'll reshake next week. But I always want a lot of nurse bees in my box where my queen is at, so that I can maintain her brood and keep her growing, because she's the one that has to grow. The bottom one, while they're making the queen, all the brood will emerge, they'll begin to grow, plus all the field bees go back there. So that's what I was doing in that. It was a good day in the bees. It was a beautiful day. We're blowing up down here in the south, guys, and I'm hoping you guys up north are be able to get in your bees soon. I know you're itching to get in them. I can tell because you're watching videos a lot. And when you watch videos a lot, it means you're itching. You're getting excited. By August, I'll be complaining. Ready for winter, ready to be done. Because I'll be whipped. Look guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime I upload a video. And share this video with your friends and family. Share it with anybody that just enjoys watching bees. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a great day, and God bless y'all.